What's up? Back here another video. Decided to do a little card review for the card that's coming up this Saturday. Decided to do it early because I didn't want to do it during the week. I'm gonna be pretty busy, but I will be watching this card, so yeah, I'm gonna make my picks. I'm not gonna do a full card review today, so I mean, first start off, Polyana Viana. That's cool. She's back. Damon Blackshirt. Didn't this motherfucker just fight like 2 weeks ago? Damn, he's active. Tires versus Castaneda it was rebooked. I think this was supposed to be on 3/13, I think. So yeah, I think there's a debut fighter. Matt Schnell's unretired. He's going against Jimmy Flick. Yeah, I mean, odds are pretty right. Maybe Schnell wins this one. Now we're in the main card. We got Ikram Alaskara versus Andre Muniz. They were supposed to fight on the Saudi Arabia card, but it got moved to here. So that's cool. I got Ikram for that fight. Got Randy Brown versus Nicholas Dalby. That's a cool fight. We got Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov, which is an interesting matchup. I think this matchup fits. I think I like this matchup. Although I think Michel Pereira is very talented, I think Abus got it. I'm gonna pick Abus for this fight. He's been doing really good. He's coming off a win against what's his name? Bruno Ferreira? I think that's his name, right? Yeah, against him, that was a pretty good win. His cardio, I mean, both of these guys have really bad cardio, so I don't really expect the cardio to be such a factor in this fight. I think Michel Pereira will definitely do well in the first round, but unless he gets a finish, I think Magomedov will take over in the later rounds. So, I mean, we'll see. I think it will be a pretty close fight. And seeing Abus get into the rankings would be nice, you know. He's been on somewhat of a run. And I don't know, I think this is a good one. This is a good fight. I'd definitely be watching this just to see who gasses out first. But I'm gonna go Abus. Next we got Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. Chikadze is coming off a pretty competitive loss to Arnold Allen, and Onama's coming off a pretty huge win. I think it was against what was that win against? I forgot. It was some short notice guy. But I mean, Onama's been on a run. He's been on a tear. And I feel like Giga's he's not the same guy as he used to be. I mean, he did lose this. He lost to Cater, and then he lost to Allen, I think. So I don't know. He's lost to pretty good dudes, and I don't know. I see this fight going to Onama. I think Onama will do better in the striking. Got the power, and I don't know. But Chikadze could definitely make this fight really competitive. Could definitely do something good with here, but I think Onama got this. I think it's just really an example of a old guard and new guard, you know. So I'm gonna go with that. Next we got Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyang. This is I don't know. This is probably the people's main event. But Anthony Smith's been on a tear. When I mean a tear, he has been on a tear of losses. I mean, apart from the Petrino win and the Span win, which were all pretty fluky. Yeah, he's been losing and losing and losing. He last lost to Reyes, which honestly, I don't know what he was doing in that fight, but it was clear he was not in the right headspace. And then before that, he lost Roman Dolidze, who was on short notice, going up a division. He got dominated by Dolidze, which definitely isn't the best thing to have. You know, it's definitely not a good look. So, I mean, Smith has been on such a downhill trend, and it's clear he kind of doesn't really fight. He doesn't have that fighting spirit anymore. It's kind of ironic we call him Lionheart because he clearly doesn't really have that heart anymore. I would think the odds would be a lot more farther than they are. Minus 500. I thought this guy would be like minus 1,000 or something. Because I don't really see Smith. I mean, Smith could definitely pull a win here. It's a factor of experience versus, talent. And, Smith, he has good grappling. We haven't seen really beat grappling with a lot of these guys. So, I mean, I think this is a case of how will Smith be in this fight. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't have any more faith in Smith. Anthony Smith, he could definitely do something really funny here and maybe submit Zhang Mingyang or somehow win this fight. But I think Zhang Mingyang is definitely really talented. He's on a huge KO streak right now. A lot of first round KOs. Massive win streak. I think it's 11 fight win streak right now. Yeah. So yeah, he's on a massive tear right now, and he's been knocking out some pretty good people. And now he's going against a guy who doesn't really. I mean, I don't know. Smith is definitely a gatekeeper, but he's not a really good one because he keeps losing. So, to be honest with you, I think Mingyang easily takes this. Mingyang by KO, or TKO. I think what will happen is that Anthony Smith will definitely try to strike with Mingyang. Mingyang will get a good hit. Maybe Anthony Smith dives for the legs or something, and Mingyang's going to keep punching. And then he's going to go curl up in a ball and then give up. And that's what's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I'll be surprised. Maybe Anthony Smith, for some reason, gets a guillotine or something. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he's going to do. I had Petrino winning that fight, and Smith just does that. So I guess maybe he sometimes wins if it's like some unranked guy on a massive winning streak. But I think Zhang Mingyang got this easily. Yeah, I mean, this is a very brutal retirement fight, but it's definitely a retirement fight, and I don't see Smith really fighting after this. And I don't think he even wants to fight. He doesn't look like he wants to fight. He's been on the analyst desk at ESPN just talking about other fights. Literally, he was on the UFC 314 analyst desk. Like, you have a fight in 2 weeks. What the fuck you're doing analyzing shit? Like, dude, train. He's probably training for this fight, but he just wants to be an ESPN guy. He wants to be a commentator. And, I don't blame him. He wants to be a podcaster, commentator, talk about fights. Hey, it's your move, But clearly he's just doing this as a retirement fight. He said it's a retirement fight. And if it's a retirement fight, then I don't really see Smith really pulling out a huge upset in this fight. I think Zhang is going to get a TKO. So, yeah, that's really it. And then we got Garry versus Prates. This fight was made pretty last minute. I think Garry's on this with 2 weeks notice. And originally this was supposed to be Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. That got moved to the UFC Azerbaijan fight card. And Jeff Neal pulled out. He got an elbow injury, so he pulled out of the fight with Prates. He was supposed to fight UFC 314. He couldn't. He didn't decide to fight on that card. And then Garry stepped up to fight Prates, which was pretty ballsy, honestly, to be honest. Because now this is the second time he's taken on pretty much an undefeated prospect with pretty much all finish streak in the UFC. And Prates is a dangerous guy, man. And Garry just took this guy on 2 weeks' notice. I don't think he's even gonna have a full training camp for this. He'll be training, but it won't be a full camp. Prates has already had a full camp for a striker, and I'm not saying Jeff Neal strikes like Garry, but Prates will come into this fight way more in shape. I think he'll come in here way more prepared, and it appears to be that he's actually been showing a lot more improvements and adding more size, and that will definitely definitely increase his power having that size. So, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people are, I mean, Garry's actually a favorite in this fight. And I can definitely get why. He's had a pretty competitive fight against Shavkat, and Shavkat's he's like the next title contender. He's number 2. He's undefeated 19-0, and Garry, on short notice, gave Shavkat a run for his money. I mean, it's definitely a competitive fight. I wouldn't say it was a close fight, but it was a competitive fight. Like, Shavkat definitely was in trouble in some of those moments, especially Garry almost locking up that choke against Shavkat. That was very, very concerning. I was trying to freaking use my telekinetic powers to get Garry off his back, bro, because I had my money on Shavkat, bro. So now he's going against a really good striker with really good power, Prates, but he hasn't been tested against what I could say is the elite of the division. Garry is number 7 ranked. He has gone against the elite of the division, and You know, he has that experience. He's been fighting these ranked guys. He's fought Jeff Neal. He's fought Neil Magny, MVP, Shavkat. And Carlos Prates, he was supposed to fight Jeff Neal, but he didn't. So his highest ranked opponent is Neil Magny. And he did Neil Magny pretty bad. I mean, he knocked him out in the first round with just, like, he grazed his temple. Like, he just grazed across his head, and he still slept Neil Magny. That's impressive power. And he's a very technical striker. He's a Muay Thai striker. He has good leg kicks. Good, he does really well when he's the one pressing forward. But as we saw in that Giles fight, he definitely doesn't leave himself to be super defensive when he's on the back foot. And I think Carlos Prates, this is definitely a huge step up in opponent. I wouldn't say Ian Garry is let me check his last win was Magny, right? So I won't say Ian Garry is way better than Jeff Neal, but he's definitely he beat Jeff Neal. And so going from Jeff Neal to Ian Garry, definitely a little bit of a step up in opponent. I thought the Jeff Neal fight was going to be pretty good and competitive. I felt like Carlos Prates could have won that fight. But Jeff Neal could have definitely gave him a really tough fight. We haven't seen Carlos Prates go into these later rounds. This is his first. I mean, he's had a 5-round main event with Neil Magny, but he didn't even go the second round, actually. He didn't even go to the second round with Neil Magny. So this is now his first 5-round fight that could potentially be 5 rounds. And we haven't seen Carlos Prates go those later rounds, show like himself being in deep waters. But we have seen Ian Garry go those 5 rounds and show himself to deep waters against what a lot of people were saying was the most dangerous guy in the division. I'm definitely not counting out Ian Garry here. Ian Garry definitely could well beat Carlos Prates just because I feel like Ian Garry has shown he has really good grappling, really good takedowns. He was doing really well against MVP on the ground. Although I would say MVP's grappling defense is pretty much non-existent. But Ian Garry's shown himself to be a pretty well-rounded fighter. And the question is Carlos Prates going to go in there and be able to defend Garry's takedowns? Is he able to keep this fight standing? If he keeps this fight standing, I say that Carlos Prates will win this fight. Ian Garry isn't a guy who presses forward and throws a lot of strikes. He doesn't have a lot of power. I think it's a lot to do with that vegan diet. Maybe the vegan diet's been weakening him. We've seen a lot of research with that. When you don't eat meat, you're weaker, your testosterone goes lower, and you're not able to generate as much force. You don't feel as much dominant or have as much energy when you're on a vegan diet because you're not getting the necessary nutrients that you should get from animal sources. And that's a fact, I mean, I eat meat. Everyone eats meat, except like vegans and vegetarians. But even vegetarians can still get good protein sources from eggs and other stuff, But Ian Garry, he's a vegan, and that definitely does a lot to do with this fight. And with Carlos Prates, I mean, I'm not going to say Carlos Prates is any much better. He smokes and drinks a lot. So, I don't know. What is worse, veganism or smoking or drinking a lot? That's up to you. That's up to research. Research says they're both shit, but I feel like maybe veganism could do worse for your strength than alcoholism. Maybe cigarettes make you stronger at fighting. Who knows? But let's be for real. Carlos Prates is coming here with a 3.5-inch reach advantage. He's a very long striker. He's a very powerful striker. He's very technical. He finds chins. He's able to find that perfect shot. And if he hits you, you will go down or you will get hurt. I mean, how he did Radke in the St. Louis event, bro, was crazy. I mean, that knee looked like it hurt. And when I tell you something, bro, getting kneed in the liver like that's an immediate shutdown. And the fact that Carlos Prates was able to completely figure out, okay, throw the cross, he puts his guard up, and then he fakes the cross and then goes for the knee in just a second or two. I mean, Carlos Prates is a talented striker. He's a very powerful striker. He's dangerous. He kind of reminds me of a welterweight Pereira, a very long, lanky striker who's just a bad matchup for anyone on the feet because he's so technical, he's so powerful and so dangerous. If he hits you, it's gonna hurt or you're gonna get down. And for a guy like Ian Garry, I'm sorry to say it, but I don't know if Ian Garry can survive Carlos Prates on the feet. I think Ian Garry's best way to win this fight is to get it to the ground because I think Ian Garry has an advantage here on the ground. You know, and we've seen Ian Garry, grapple whenever he's not winning on the feet. He was getting pieced up by MVP, and he grappled MVP to the ground. He was wrestling him, and getting MVP's back was what allowed him to win that fight. So it depends. In a 3-round fight, I'd actually favor Garry. In a 5-round fight, I'd favor Prates. The reason why I say this is because I don't think Garry is going to be wrestling this guy for 5 rounds. Have we seen him wrestle anyone, honestly? Because in Shavkat fight, I think how he got onto his back was from a reversal, right? I think Shavkat took him down. Or maybe Ian Garry took him down? I forgot the fight. But I know that Ian Garry did take his back from a reversal, I think. Yeah, he reversed his position, I think, and he took his back. If he gets on Prates' back, I actually think that could be very dangerous for Prates. But I'm just really confused. Like, is this fight even going to get to the ground? Because, unlike Shavkat isn't chasing to get this fight on the ground. Prates isn't going to be trying to take down Ian Garry or wrestle him or grapple him. He's going to be striking with him. He is going to be the one pressing forward. I don't think Ian Garry's the type of guy to be pressing forward in a fight. Keeps his distance. He uses the leg kicks, kind of circles around, and he kind of lets other people kind of pressure him, like how Shavkat did. Ian Garry was using the leg kicks to kind of wade off Shavkat, and they were working in some moments, but Shavkat was getting the better hits in the exchanges, and I feel like Carlos Prates here, I think he's on such a huge roll. The way he has been destroying his other opponents, I mean, here's the thing. I think his Li Jingliang fight is really... I think in the Li Jingliang fight, it really did show how dangerous Prates is. Because not only is this guy powerful, this guy can hit you. Like, he is very technical. He's very smart with his striking. He's able to find chins. He's like a Pereira. I keep saying this. He's like Pereira. He's really dangerous on the feet. And if Ian Garry is going to strike with this guy, I really don't see Ian Garry winning this fight. I think if he keeps striking with him, he is going to get knocked out brutally. And I'm going to be real. I'm making this pick because Ian Garry's a fucking vegan. He's a vegan. You think I don't know that shit's affecting his performance? When did Ian Garry become vegan? I think he became vegan like a couple years ago, right? You could definitely see a difference in his fights when he became vegan and when he wasn't vegan. What about, like in the Song Kanan fight? Song Kanan fight versus the Shavkat fight. You could definitely tell there's a difference in how Ian Garry strikes. Ian Garry in the Song fight was more aggressive. He was pressing with more strikes. And he also TKO'd Song. In the Shavkat fight, not as aggressive in the striking. His leg kicks weren't really effective. He was throwing leg kicks, but he wasn't landing the better shots. And he let Shavkat push him forward, and Shavkat was landing the better shots. And, it's all that stuff. Even with the MVP fight, Ian Garry did not look good in the striking against MVP. MVP was dismantling his striking. Ian Garry was letting himself get hit a lot. And MVP's a tricky striker. He definitely is. I'm not saying that MVP is just a bum. He's not, bro. MVP is a very hard striker. This man could probably beat most UFC fighters on the feet. That's a fact because he's just so tricky with his striking. MVP is a very hard guy to figure out. Like, you look at Shara's fight, the Shara fight with MVP, holy crap, Shara had no answers for MVP at all. And Shara's a pretty good striker himself, and he had no answers. MVP is just a different guy when it comes to striking. And, I've been seeing just a decrease in, aggressiveness and performance and strength in Ian Garry. Ian Garry doesn't hit as hard as he used to before. He's not as aggressive as before. He's very careful with his striking. I think that's going to be how he's going to lose this fight. If he lets Prates back him up and he lets Prates back him up into the cage, That's a danger zone. You don't want Prates pushing you against the cage, leaving you cornered. For my keys to win for Prates, push forward, keep the pace, control the fight, use the leg kicks and the teeps to keep Ian Garry at bay, and make sure you check the leg kicks, and just keep and threaten him with the shots. Hit him with some good shots. Get him to respect your power. If you get Ian Garry to respect your power, Prates will have way more success than he would have. And for keys to win for Ian Garry, honestly gonna say this: Ian Garry has to wrestle him. Ian Garry needs to get this fight to the ground. He needs to test Prates. He needs to tire him out by making him defend all the takedowns. Maybe push him against the cage. Make this a Bautista situation. Push him against the cage. Clinch. Carlos Prates' clinch game is pretty good, but Ian Garry does have a good underrated clinch game. Make this fight go to the ground. If he goes this on the feet, if he keeps this a striking fight, I'd see Prates winning. But if Garry mixes it up, he gets the takedown, makes Prates wary of the takedown, and tries to grapple with him, get him to the ground. If he gets him to the ground, that's Ian Garry's territory. That's not Prates. Ian Garry has been showing a lot of improvements in the grappling, but I'm not saying Prates is a bad grappler. We just haven't seen him grapple, and obviously the reason is because every time someone did try to grapple with him, he defended the takedowns. When Neil Magny's a very good grappler. I'd say he's a better grappler than Garry, to be honest. I think Neil Magny's a better grappler than Garry. And Neil Magny didn't have any success with Carlos Prates. He tried to take him down multiple times, and not only did Carlos Prates defend the takedowns, he even reversed it and got a takedown on Neil Magny himself. Neil Magny got shut down in that fight, and people were saying Neil Magny could have tested Prates for sure. I think Prates might show different level in this fight. But if Ian Garry needs to win this fight, he needs to win it on the ground. He needs to try to get him down there, or at least maybe not submit him. If he can submit him, that's great. But if he doesn't submit him, at least mix it up, make him wary of the takedown, keep pushing the pace, make Carlos Prates back up. If he makes Prates back up, he will have more success on the feet. If Prates goes forward, Prates will be the one, controlling the pace of the fight. When Prates controls the pace of the fight, that is when it gets dangerous for people. But if Ian Garry backs Prates up, maybe uses the leg kicks, maybe get him with a jab a bit, use the jab to keep his distance, prevent Prates from controlling the pace of the fight. You do that, you are shutting down Prates' most dangerous game, and that is his power. So, yeah, I think this will be a very good technical fight. This is one of the most technical fights I will probably see, honestly. Carlos Prates and Ian Garry are both very talented strikers. And they're both pretty well-rounded. They both have good defensive grappling. Ian Garry might have more offensive grappling than Prates, but I think Prates can definitely defend the takedowns. For my pick, I'm going to go with Prates by KO. I think what will happen in this fight is that Ian Garry will definitely try to mix this up and go for a takedown. I see Prates defending the takedowns. We haven't seen Ian Garry's wrestling be that, spectacular. He was able to take down MVP, but let's be for real, it's MVP. That guy has no grappling. He has some grappling, but it's like the MVP in that fight looked like he definitely did not really understand grappling on like a UFC level. So, I don't know. Ian Garry's wrestling still remains to be tested. He did get Shavkat's back, but he still got taken down a lot in that fight, and he was getting held up against the cage. His clinch game was pretty decent in that fight, but Shavkat was winning the clinch. And I don't know. I think Prates has what it takes to win this fight. I think Prates is definitely very talented. He's a very dangerous striker. When you're going against a guy like Ian Garry, it's definitely a tough test, but I think Prates wins this. I'll get him by KO. He's an underdog pick. If you want to go the underdog pick, go with Prates by KO. I think Odds to win by KO. Well, there's no odds yet, but yeah, plus 102 underdog for Prates. I'd say hit it. I think Prates could definitely win this fight. And I think what will happen is Prates will definitely be pushing the pace in this fight. I don't see Ian Garry really going out there and being as aggressive with the striking. I think he'll try to keep him at bay. Make Prates kind of wary of the leg kicks. I think Ian Gary's going to try to wrestle Prates, get this fight to the ground. And I think Prates will defend the takedowns and defend the grappling if he does get taken down, because I mean he's been training with the Fighting Nerds. Fighting Nerds have some of the best grapplers ever. I mean, we got Damian Maya in their arsenal, bro. And as you've seen in that Gene Silva fight against Bryce Mitchell, I mean, those guys are improving at such a massive rate, at such a fast rate. So, I mean, we don't know. We could see a different Prates in this fight, a really good Prates. Probably better Prates than we saw in the Magny fight. So, I'm going to go with Prates by KO. I think he's going to push Ian Garry. I think he's going to push the pace of this fight, pressure Garry. I think Gary's going to try to wrestle. Prates defends, and then Prates will go in. He'll get that good shot on Ian's chin, and I don't think Ian will take it. Ian got dropped by San Kanon, really hard, but from just a check hook, and I don't know. San Kanon does not hit as hard as Prates, so I think Prates does have the chance to knock out Ian Garry, and Ian Gary's vegan, so maybe the lack of meat will definitely affect his strength and his chin, Man, I can't believe I'm basing this pick off fucking veganism. But hey, it's worked out for me before. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Prates by KO. Anyways, that'll be all for this video. Make sure to follow my Instagram in the link in my bio. Nothing else. I'm probably not going to upload for a while after this. And the only reason why I'm uploading is because I'm bored. And I don't want to study. So, I don't know. I'm about to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram. I do have something planned for that, what I'm going to do for 1,000 followers. I don't really know yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. It's probably going to be like maybe a week or two until I reach 1,000 followers, maybe more. But in that case, it's definitely left to be seen what I'll do for that. Apart from that, I'll be watching this event. I think it will be fun. Kansas City, even though the Jamal Hill Roundtree fight got canceled, this will still be a very good card. I think this fight's better than the Jamal Hill versus Roundtree fight. And I'm glad that fight got rescheduled to something else. At least we'll still watch it. But I think this fight's better. I think it's going to be a very technical fight. Ian Garry is a G for taking this fight on short notice. I mean, taking Carlos Prates and Shavkat on short notice, that's crazy. Even though he might lose this fight, if he loses this fight, I honestly still won't complain. Like 15-2 and your two losses being Prates and Shavkat, that is definitely not a bad record at all. And maybe he's not undefeated anymore. But honestly, I don't care. I don't think Ian Gary's the type of guy to be undefeated. I think Ian Gary's still very young. He still has a lot of potential. If he wins this fight, this will be huge. I think that could definitely put him in title contention. Maybe get a title eliminator with maybe Brady, or maybe even rebook that shit with Buckley. But oh yeah, and I think they might make Buckley versus Usman for Atlanta. So if Buckley wins that, maybe if Ian Garry wins this one, we might fight for a title eliminator. But I'm gonna go Carlos Prates by KO. I think he's one of those new gen welterweights. He has a ton of potential, and I just don't think Ian Gary's gonna perform the same. Ian Gary's vegan. That shit's gotta be affecting him. It affected Sean O'Malley, man. It doesn't look like he's gonna change from the diet anytime soon, considering the fact that his wife pretty much controls him by the balls. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Anyways, see you on the next one.